Hello, I'm Haimavati. I'm an Ishaya monk from Belgium. I'm a freelance designer, and today I would like to share a part of my story of how I really got to Ascension. How did my journey look like to really discovering who I was, and why am I so passionate, to share this. For me, Ascension came to me in a time that I was really looking. I was in therapy. I was I was just a bit lost, and not so much in my life, because I had a good life and I had a lot of friends, and I had all of that, but just inside I didn't really know. I just didn't really know in general, like where to go or what to do. And so there became a moment, and I actually already had learned to ascend right in the beginning, where I just kind of noticed, like, like all of this talking, all of this like trying to figure out, it's like it's not getting me anywhere. So I decided to go on Camino De Santiago. It's a walking path, a pilgrim path in Spain or in Portugal. So I did the Portuguese way. And why I ended up doing that was really because in that whole moment when I started to ascend, when everything seemed to kind of go a little bit into like a fast, like everything seemed to start to move very fast for me to find out who I was. So just before that, I had an experience where I had a vision of my grandmother. My family is beautiful, but there's complicated stories, as with every families. And my grandmother, she was schizophrenic. She already died when I learned to ascend, and I didn't really have a relationship with her. But when I started to ascend, I had an experience where she came to me, and she basically told me, like, either you go and you find your own way, you do what you want, you go where your heart wants you to go, or you're gonna get sick like me. That was kind of the message that he gave me, that those were the two choices I had. I could listen to what I thought everybody else expected from me, like the path kind of laid out for me by what I thought I should do, or really kind of jump into the unknown and make my own way. And so when I started to go on the Santiago, the Camino, I didn't really have like a clear purpose. I didn't really have a clear, like anything that I wanted to get out of. But when I started walking, like magical things start to happen when you decide to just kind of like let go of everything and just see, like where life kind of takes you. And it was such a beautiful journey. Like it started out kind of tough, but the more I walked and the more, you get into the rhythm of the pilgrim, which is a beautiful experience, the more I noticed like little, these magic coincidences. Like there were times when I arrived in a place on her birthday, arrived on another place on the date of her death. I arrived to the church in Santiago, and I entered through a door that usually isn't open, but at that time it was open. And it turned out to be the door of Mercia, of mercy. And my grandmother's name was Mercia. So, it just became this very magic connection that I felt with her, even though she had already passed away. And another thing that started to happen, because I had my ascension practice with me, I would start to notice how the mind works. I would see something and immediately there would be, like a memory of something else. And so more and more when I walked, I realized, like I don't want to miss anything of this travel. I don't want to miss anything of this beautiful country that I'm walking in, of the people that I'm meeting. Like more and more I noticed myself just being open to whatever was coming to me. I decided beforehand that it would be kind of good before I went back to my family and friends to have a little bit of a break. And so I had booked a place in the Mastery of the Self, in the Ascension Retreat. I didn't know anything about it. I thought, you know, it would be a good place to rest before going home. When I got there and I realized that all of what I was doing by myself on my trip, you know, on my Camino, all the little things that I was noticing about the mind, about my patterns, about my life, like all of the things that I had discovered, you know, I just came to a place where we do that whole journey, but inwardly, and we do it together, you know, and that made such an impact on me that I, you know, although I wouldn't trade my Camino for the world, because it was a really, really beautiful experience, but to know that I didn't have to go anywhere, you know, I didn't have to go anywhere to find me. You know, that was what I was learning on the mastery, on the retreat with the Ishayas. And for me, it felt so much like coming home. You know, it was such a relief that I didn't have to do it alone. And it was such a relief that it could be easy, you know, to return home. For me, I'm super grateful to Ascension because it seemed to have just kind of like put my life into like a fast track to what I wanted, you know, and all the help that comes with that. And the magical thing is like that the help, like I feel a little bit that like a tip of the veil was lifted up for me, you know, because my grandma had already passed away, but for me, she's such a big part of, you know, how I got here, you know, and how so much is looking out for us to find ourselves and to want us to discover who we are. Ascension have been a part of my life every day, you know, and that magic that I discovered then, I'm living that in my daily life, you know, and that is for me such a precious gift. And I love to share that with others, you know, because if it's a cliche, but really, like, if it's possible for me, you know, to live life like this, like that simple, that easy, that joyful, and also to know that, you know, we're meant to live it together, experience it together. Yeah, that for me is very precious.